What's going on? It's Astronaut H, and this is the What More Do You Want Network. Now, in this video, I will be discussing the Atlanta Hawks. Season is basically over. After losing to the Boston Celtics in 6 games, respectfully, in the NBA playoffs, first round. Oh man. For the Hawks, I mean, honestly, making the playoffs, going up against the number 2 seed in the East. Pretty much, I don't know anybody outside of Atlanta that pretty much had them winning the series, but, ultimately winning 2 games. Trae Young having an exceptional series, if you ask me. He definitely, especially the last few games, he definitely had a more breakout of a series than in the early parts. But as for the Hawks as a whole, I feel like it was a lot of question marks for the duration of the season. Of course, they fired their coach, Nick McMillan. Quinn Snyder ended up being their coach for the remainder of the season. You had some turmoils with Trae Young as far as the team was concerned. The addition of DeJounte Murray, who I feel like was a welcome addition. I like the backcourt with him and Trae Young. But, there's still a lot of question marks with that team. The addition of Sadiq Bey, the emergence of Jalen Johnson. But again, guys like Okongwu, I still feel like the Hawks are ways away from, a few years ago they did appear in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I feel like they are a ways away from returning back to whatever form that was. And the Eastern Conference was a whole lot different at that time. But what I can say is, what are the Hawks going to do in the offseason, honestly? We always hear about the rumblings about John Collins being traded. We always, hear about Atlanta not being, too much of a basketball city. They haven't had that splash in free agency in recent memory, in my opinion. But again, you have a DeJounte Murray, you have a Trae Young, who I feel like is your franchise player. I feel like he is the face of the franchise currently. It's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward. Because, again, you have some young emergent guys. Trae Young isn't even 25. So when you look at the team and you look at how the roster is put together, I feel like they have young guys. They have emerging talent. I don't know if it's they need more of a veteran presence. But again, like I said, losing to the Celtics in 6 games, they just weren't the better team in that particular series. They did pull out a few games, but to win, to beat a team like the Celtics 4 times is a heavy task to ask. But again, like I said, the Hawks are a team that I feel are maybe a piece away from actually being contenders in the Eastern Conference, dare I say, because when you look at their 5 top to bottom, again, the backcourt of Murray and Young, you have a wing player in Hunter who's more than capable. You have a John Collins and you have a Clint Capella. That's a more than formidable 5 if you ask me. It's just about the bench production and execution, and what the front office feels like they should do going forward. As I currently look at their roster, I don't say, well, if you take him off and add him, and you take him off and you add him, just any player, they'll still be in a great position, because that's never the case, especially in the NBA. One guy can take you where you need to go, but to compete year after year for championships, to compete for, divisions and standings and seedings, it takes a lot more than just that one guy. That one guy can, you can give him the basketball at the end of games, close out, situations, and tell him, yes, take us there. We need to get this W. That may be the case in some instances, but for the Hawks, I feel like they are more than a ways away from, where they were a few years ago. Now, again, like I said, who's to say what the offseason could, you know, figure out for them? The offseason could be a splash. They could make a move. We don't know what they want to do with Trae Young going forward. We don't know what they want to do with John Collins going forward. But I'll be surprised if they move Young. I'd be surprised if they move Trae. But again, like I said, it's no mistaking what had happened earlier in the year. He was upset, and they figured get rid of the coach before getting rid of their star. So, Nate McMillan was more expendable than Trae Young was because, again, honestly, Trae Young 3-ball wasn't there the entire season. That's cool, but we're talking about somebody who's up there in the tops of leading the league in assists, and he's a 20-plus point scorer yearly. So you can't just trade that away without getting something in return that's equal. So I get it. Like I said, I believe Young is the Hawks franchise player. I like the backcourt with him and Murray. I like, what I've seen from them at the tail end of the season. So it's just yet to be determined what will happen going into the offseason with the Atlanta Hawks. But again, like I said, taking the Celtics to 6 games, ultimately not winning the series, but you can't hang your hat on the things that they did wrong. You just gotta tip your hat to them and give them credit. I understand that type of thing doesn't merit well, but when you look at the Hawks and what they were able to accomplish this year, end up being the 7th seed, winning a playoff play-in game, and you look at a team that at the end of the day, being right there in the throes with one of the upper echelon teams in the East, what more could you ask for? We knew the Hawks wasn't going to compete for a championship this year. So with all that being said, their season has come to an end. But again, I don't believe any team's season is a failure. It's only going to be one champion, and that's just the way it goes. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to know anytime a video is being uploaded to the channel. It's Astronaut H. This is the What More Do You Want Network, and I catch you guys on the next video.